this month we decided to team up and have an epic class combo and both do the same 2 games. So starting off...
Spencer just learned the term class combo literally right before we hit record.
Yes.
Because I was talking about a super cool video game.
Yes. So starting off, we have Portal. It was a 2007 puzzle platform game developed and published by Valve. It was originally released in the Orange Box bundle for Windows, Xbox 360, and PS3, and has then been ported to other systems, including Mac, Linux, Android, Switch, and it has also been re-released separately, slightly remastered for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, called Portal Still Alive. That's the version I played. And apparently, according to Jacob, there is a recently updated...
Not recently.
That's not even that recent?
No.
I'm just that out of date.
Yes.
Okay, so there's also an updated PC version that runs at, what you said, 4K 60?
Oh, the RTX version.
Oh, okay, that's what
I thought you were talking about the radio thing. I was like, no, that's way old.
No.
Yeah, the RTX version just came out like 2 weeks ago, I think. And it has ray tracing and neon lights and lots of gamer code words.
Nice. So it primarily consists of a series of puzzles that must be solved by using a teleportation device called the Aperture Science Handheld Portal Gun, which is, you just call it Portal Gun. The protagonist, her name is Shell. She wakes up from a stasis sort of thing, and then it's a series of 20 or so puzzle rooms. And they just progressively get harder. You use the portal gun, shoots 2 portals. There's a blue one and an orange one, and you can go in and out of either one of them. Incredible. Let your imagination run amok.
So I watched a YouTube video by Ray Civic about the orange box, and he said that a couple of college kids created like the portal technology programming whatever, and all-knowing Gabe Man like hired them and gave them a budget to make a video game.
I think I've heard about that. I hadn't looked into it very much.
I haven't looked into it either, but it was pretty cool that they just got hired straight out of school to make a what became, a well-known and well-loved video game.
Yeah.
Because they made a cool bit of programming.
Yeah, so I've been playing Portal on and off since I think like 2010 or so. When I actually got into video games, I had it available on, I think I originally played it on a PC, and then I got it on Xbox because I'm a child and I need the big thumbsticks. So this is, I think, my like 4th complete playthrough, probably.
Nice.
Question mark. I've done like half of the challenge chambers, which is the thing that the standalone Portal Still Alive version comes with, is basically just advanced updated versions of each chamber you can do for time trials, least amount of steps taken, etc.
You were talking last night about how it's basically a tech trial.
The way, especially with the modern context now, playing it now, it feels like 90% of this game is just a tech demo. Like, it's a really cool tech demo, but it has really simple graphics, very simple mechanics. There's very, very, very little thrown in there in terms of additional story elements, other than GLaDOS, the robot AI narrator, is weird. And says vague things. And if you look for them, there's a couple of secret spots that you can find, which are the Ratman dens, which are pretty notorious in the Portal fan base. But if you can miss most of them pretty easily, and they show up a lot later in the game. So like on my most recent playthrough, where I was playing for completion, I wanted to get all of the Ratman dens. I wanted to do it in the least amount of time possible. So I was zooming through, and like, it's just portal chamber, and then the last like 2 is like, oh yeah, psych, by the way, you can get outside of the portal chambers and there's an actual story going on. And I love that end section, but it does definitely feel like they didn't want to give away the gambit too early, or they didn't have a lot to do with the story until like after the game was already in development, and they realized they had too many like tech limitations for them to do a whole game like that yet. Because like the last 45-minute section, like the last quote-unquote test chamber, it just uses all the skills you've been learning. It just does it in a way that's not a clear, clean environment. You use the same physics, the gravity, bullshit, all the weird shit you've been learning how to do. You do it trying to escape the facility, but it just, I don't know. It felt like it almost comes out of nowhere unless you're looking for it. So I don't know whether that was intentional or not. It just comes across.
I see it as like it caught gamers by surprise because they jump in to a cool puzzle video game and they're solving puzzles, but then the game ends with asking you like, what are you doing? Like, what is this game about? You're in video game brain where you're just doing puzzles, but there's something going on in the background. You have to like listen to what GLaDOS is saying. She's not just saying, she's shit talking you the whole time.
Yes,
and it's funny.
She's hysterical, but
it challenges you to get out of video game brain and like see the bigger picture. And I don't know, it's a cool twist.
It definitely is a cool twist. It's just because I already knew about that before I even played it the first time. Like, it seems like it works on the first playthrough, but every time following, because everyone knows that Portal and Half-Life are in the same universe. Like, everyone knows this now. This is very common gamer parlance. There's a sequel game. Like, it's hard to remove it from that context and like replace yourself in the idea of like a first playthrough before you knew anything. It's not necessarily a fault of the game. It plays very differently on replay. Whereas now I'm going through and I'm digging, trying to find anything hidden. And frankly, there isn't much to find, which I think is mostly just a tech limitation for the time. I really don't think that they could have done much more.
The song at the end during the credits is a banger.
It really is. Still Alive is a great song. And it's sung in GLaDOS' voice, which is fucking awesome.
I'm pretty sure I went on a tear last month, and Steam lets you filter your games by what games you've bought that come with a soundtrack, and Portal comes with the soundtrack.
Yeah.
So I have that tucked away in my music file somewhere. I'm excited to find it someday.
Yeah. So in terms of the actual secrets that are involved in the game, the Ratman Duns are neat. I do think in greater context, they feel a little underwhelming once you've played the sequel and you see how much more advanced everything gets, but just on their own, they're all fine. There's some repeated graffiti and like prison scribbles, basically.
The cake is a lie.
Yeah, obviously. There's some stuff which is a well-known thing, like
yes.
The cake being a lie. But it seems like the physical, the digital art that they used for the certain textures in some spots, like that scribble of the cake is a lie, it's the exact same one they use every time, which is most likely a budgetary time thing. It's just, it comes across a lot more quaint now that there's a greater context and gaming has evolved so much.
That was kind of the word that I had in mind on this last playthrough, is that it's quaint in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, it's well loved. It is very cool. It does what it wants to do very well. Like, I don't really have many complaints about it, but it's
not really
short and sweet. Like,
it doesn't overstay its welcome. By the time you're getting a little frustrated with the chambers, it's over.
Yeah, there's a reason that it's always like sub $5 on Steam.
It's always on sale. Yeah, like yeah, it's just, there isn't a lot to nitpick about it that isn't just kind of nitpicking or like not engaging with the game on its own grounds. Like, it was sold as a kind of a twist on like a small game. It probably didn't even, because it came as a part of a bundle for one, and then when you could buy it separately later, it never went above like $20. So it never sells itself as being more than what it is.
Yeah.
It is just, I can't help but imagine how much more it could have been if it was, I wouldn't say a remake would be unjustified. I think that would be a little much. But like, if it was updated a little bit, or I don't think they should do a remake, but if it was remade now, I could see there being a lot more to it and still getting a good twist in. But I don't know. The puzzles are good, but also, since there's only about 20 of them, I have them basically memorized at this point.
Right.
I hadn't played Portal in like 3 or 4 years since this last playthrough, and I still remembered how to do all of them in like pretty speedy time.
Pretty quick.
There's a couple of them that are a little annoying. The one thing I think, technologically speaking, that this game does have that bothers me is, despite the fact that it's a platformer, it has a very clunky hitbox, and like the sensitivity in terms of both the Y and the X axis is very slow, and you can't speed it up that much.
Sounds like a console player problem.
No, even on PC, it's slow, and that's fine. It's just you feel clunky, and it's not supposed to be a shooter game, so it's not like you need to be nimble and agile, but it definitely feels like you're a big. Your hitbox is a big rectangle standing on one side, and like I constantly clip into things on the floor. I'm trying to jump over. There's no animation smoothing anywhere.
Of the same point, I guess, but different. There's a couple of jumping problems, I guess, where you come out of the portal way up high and you have to shoot a portal on the floor so that you get momentum and go back through the portal way up high again.
It does. You keep
it's tough to get that portal shot into the floor and
smoothly,
not
without hitting,
go splat on the floor.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's nothing smooth about it. And that's the thing is, whereas like
they fixed it in Portal 2 though. You can feel
it's a lot smoother.
The portal on the floor kind of suck you into it instead of just being a flat surface.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is in the original game, the portals themselves they're a gameplay element, and they require you to use, physics and all sorts of crazy stuff. Like, that's part of the deal is you have weird gravity challenges, but the portals don't feel like they exist. They definitely feel like a 2D, thing you threw on the wall, and it feels like it's just a texture on the wall. It's kind of hard to describe, but like especially nowadays, it feels like, I don't know, it doesn't feel tangible in that sense. It feels like, wow, you just made a gateway. So like it's doing its job. It's a portal from one spot to another, but like that's it. There isn't a lot of embellishment to it, which is functional.
I do like the effect where you shoot the wall and it's kind of like a drop hits and expands and twists.
Yeah.
It like makes a backwards black hole in the wall. It looks funky.
There's a lot of cool
I really like
animations.
the look.
Yeah. The music just across the board is phenomenal. Not just the end song, but the music and the sound design are fairly minimal, but they're minimal, but they're consistent, and they help establish a good mood. Like there is, particularly in the second half of the game, there's a lot of atmosphere. It's in the first few puzzle chambers. It is like 100% tech demo feel. It's like, wow, I'm doing the thing. But after it hits a certain point, the music cranks up. GLaDOS's voiceover takes a few more turns for the weird, and the different types of noises for the different laser projection devices, the little light ball shooty things, the companion cube, all that sort of fun stuff. It really. I actually play it with headphones on. I tend to not put on music when I play Portal. I actually like listening to it.
It really sucks that my voice is shot right now because I love sounding like the turrets in this game. I can throw my voice pretty freaking close to sounding like them.
The turrets are very funny. They're obnoxious as fuck.
Yes.
Because it's not a shooting game. But
so, another thing I saw online this month, doing research, I guess, is that they changed the way that you shot the portals in between 1 and 2. Like the first time, it's like a projectile that has to travel through space.
Yeah.
And then in Portal 2, it's hit scan.
It's hit scan with a projected animation.
I can't really define hit scan, but I knew your brain would be able to.
So you know this game I like, Halo.
I've never heard of it.
I know. So there are some weapons in each Halo game has a different set of which ones are which, but in some Halo games, some guns are projectiles. So like the game
Needler.
It shoots an actual in-game projectile that has to hit something. It may or may not be like slightly magnetized to a target. versus hit scan is you pull the trigger or hit the button or whatever, and then if the reticle is over the target, you hit it, and it basically puts like a 2D animation over your screen, so you think you like shot a projectile, but there is no projectile, so there's no bullet
like
drop.
The sniper is a hit scan because it's an immediate hit.
Depends on which game. It flips back and forth, and I don't remember all
Work
of them.
with me here.
I'm trying. It just depends. The games that get criticized a lot for their weapon sandboxes, like 5 is almost all hit scan weapons. It's very... There's no drop. There's no wind to worry about. There's barely any leading. It's just you shoot and go bang. And then it like tricks you into thinking that you saw a projectile come out of the weapon because it'll, put a certain type of flash over your screen, like in ODST, for instance, there's no rain. The engine can't do rain, but you think it's raining quite frequently because of the way it projects a 2D screen over your HUD overlay. It's like that. So yeah, in between the two Portal games, the first one, you actually kind of have, sometimes if it's really far, you kind of have to lead your shots with a little bit of care about where the drop is. 2, it is a hit scan, but it doesn't feel like it, which is the thing I didn't feel like it was hit scan. I knew it was connecting more consistently, and I know it's hit scan, but like it doesn't. I don't know what they changed in the animations, but it doesn't come across like it's hit. I don't know how else to describe it. I don't have gamer words
anymore. I know you were bitching about Black Ops 4 still being hit scan, right?
Most Call of Duty games are pretty much all hit scan, to be fair. But when hit scan is useful. They're both types of technology are fine. It just depends on the type of game you're making and like what the weapons need to do. You need to have a mixture of both of them. Like most Covenant weapons in Halo are projectile because they want you to be able to dodge them in campaign pretty easily, versus a lot of the UNSC stuff, despite the fact that you are physically shooting a metal bullet, most of them are hit scan.
Interesting.
It's just it's a lot of weapon balancing nonsense I barely understand.
Well, anyway, this is about Portal.
Portal 1 slaps. It just is. So this playthrough took 3 hours, I would say. I did it in one sitting of 20 minutes and then one sitting of 2 hours and 40. Once you get momentum going in the game, I think is when it works well, particularly with Portal 1. Once you've done a few chambers at once, your brain is just really in Portal mode.
Right.
So you're thinking about how the physics engine works and like how your speed and acceleration goes. Just kind of popping in and out for like a chamber or two, it honestly feels worse. It feels really underwhelming and like hard on your brain, but not because the puzzle's hard, but because you're stupid.
Right. You just got to get into Portal brain.
Right. But with this game, if you just play it in one shot, it actually, the game, despite the puzzles getting harder and longer and a lot more thorough, your time kind of just snowballs and you get a lot faster at doing it because you can start just like quick sniping fucking Portal shots everywhere because you know what you're doing. Versus the first one, you're like, maybe if I go here and maybe here. And then once you're doing like chamber 18, you're like, beep, 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 and then you're just falling through 50 portals and accelerating and you
Yes.
I bought this on the Xbox Live Store for $10 in like 2014. Great value. I'm still playing it. I still haven't technically finished it because I haven't beat all the advanced portal chambers because they're a bitch.
Oh, they're awful.
And a lot of this is actually a real complaint I have. A lot of the achievements are very glitchy. There's some of them which are just, they're kind of functionally difficult. Like there's one achievement out of the blue. So you have to only enter the orange portal and exit the blue portal once you have control of both sides of the portal gun. And that sounds a lot easier than it is. But once you hit the later chambers where time is extremely relevant, the fact that you will have to reshoot your chains of portals so many times will piss you off. Like it gets really hard because you're just the game is designed for you to go in and out both sides of a portal. It's like, oh, you can just backtrack. But not if you want to get that achievement. It's a pain in the ass. And I still haven't gotten that one, even though half the time I never remember when I fucked up. I just know I did.
Yeah.
And then the Ratman dens, there's only 5 of them. They're very glitchy. Like getting there and then having the game in-game tell you that you found one on the in-game achievement list is very finicky. I found all 5 on my last playthrough and it only counted 3 of them. Not just because I like looked at it, I went in it, I sat there for a minute, I looked around, I zoomed in, like the whole 9. You're telling the game I'm here. Check it off the list, and it just doesn't sometimes. It is technically a port, so I guess it gets a little bit of leeway. There is something about this time in gaming which is extremely quaint. I think part of why the game feels so nostalgic for me, even though I played it a few years after release, is just because like the 3D puzzle shooter gaming landscape was really different back then. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. It's just the way that games were made and published was very different than the way it is now. And we've been waiting for a proper third game for so freaking long, but like, it's just probably not going to happen because I honestly don't think it would be received the same anymore. Like, it would be a nostalgia hit, and even if the game's phenomenal, there's enough of the mainstream demographic that would just go, I don't really care. Versus when this came out, this was a smash hit once it got ported over to Xbox and PlayStation. Like, it was everywhere. And the sequel also blew the fuck up. Like, everybody was playing this, despite people who don't like puzzle games, you know? I just don't think it could do that now.
I missed 3 out of 26 radios. That makes me very upset.
I'm so sad. Yeah, you have a bigger achievement list because you're playing on PC.
No, the Rat King challenge you're talking about is not there. I just checked. It's a very, very... There's 15 achievements there.
You got a different list, buddy.
Yep.
It's not the same. How much did you buy this for?
I don't remember. It was so long ago. It had to have been like $5 or less.
To be fair, considering the game is less than a gigabyte in size, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It's a tiny little baby game with a lot of value, despite the fact that a straight playthrough is only a few hours.
Yes.
I feel like everyone's tried to do speedruns of Portal. Like, even if you're not a speedrun type person, like, you haven't been like, that was short. I could do that again.
Maybe not like an actual speed run, but you definitely challenge yourself to solve it as fast as you can, just so that you can feel smart.
I do like feeling smart because I'm not actually smart.